Hi, everyone. Good evening. Good evening, ladies, and of course, gentlemen who are here right now. Okay, I'm just starting to be admitted on Instagram. Okay, perfect. I'm already here on Instagram. So, magandang hapon po sa inyong lahat. Good evening, everyone, wherever you're watching right now. We are live from Manila. So every 6:30 p.m. we do a live event here, and we are Big C. So Big C, ayan, sandali. Just fixing my Instagram. Bixi is a financial platform or app for women. And here we actually invite experts in different fields to present or to inform us ng iba't ibang mga knowledge, ayan, network, and of course tools for women especially to start investing. So this afternoon, no, we actually have a different and new topic na i-discuss natin. So this is not very new because we've had some introduction. Something is I think the audio on Instagram is kind of off. Patrice, can you mute can you lower the volume muna on Bixi? Yeah, lower it to the pinaka lowest volume. Or maybe you can mute muna on your part while I'm going live. Yeah. Oo, mute mo muna. Thank you. Okay, thank you. I think I would that be better? Salamat. Thank you for the feedback. But yeah, as I was saying earlier, no, we actually invite leaders from different fields to talk about different topics and about investment, savings, insurance, even cryptocurrency, and this week we are actually starting like a series. No, we've talked about it briefly before, but today it's actually a very interesting one because we have equally interesting guests. So but before I introduce you our guest, so like I mentioned earlier when I was introducing Big C, this is we are a financial platform, but we do not give legal or financial advice like, okay, you should buy this, you should buy this investment, you should be buying this insurance, or you should be buying this coin. We don't do that. And also our platform, our app is free. We don't collect any money or any financial exchange when you download the app. So whenever someone if you know someone who does that, please report it to us, because definitely we don't accept, or we don't ask for any monetary consideration or exchange when you download our app. And then also, as I mentioned, we don't give financial or advice, or we don't ask you to subscribe to any of the products that you are seeing online, but we encourage you to go inside the app to learn more about them. And when you go inside the app and register, there's actually a part there on Bixi Bazaar where all the products are enumerated, but of course you will be redirected to the valid links and legitimate links for all those products. So ngayon, this afternoon, no, meron kaming isang question. Yan. Because this is a new topic, as I was mentioning earlier. We will be talking about Web3. So the question is, what is the first thing that comes to your mind when you hear Web3? So we actually posted yesterday, and I hope nakita nyo yun, no? We will be giving a special prize. It's actually a book by one of Bixie's financial advisors, Bixie's advisor, si Miss Christina Morlevar. She generously gave out her book. It's called Wild Wisdom. So there. So all you have to do is download the app and then register kayo, punta kayo sa community. We actually posted about the event, live event, and then comment lang kayo doon. Kapag narinig nyo yung word na Web3, what is the first thing that comes to your mind? So all you have to do, there's no wrong answer. Like, for instance, you just heard it yesterday, or you have heard about Web3 in the past 6 months or 1 year. Just let us know kung ano yung first thing that comes to your mind when it comes, when you hear the word Web3. And of course, when you download the Bixi app, you will get a free copy of Wild Wisdom by Christine Amordevar. So one of our interns is here. She usually does the raffle. So I think we're raffling 3 this time, no? For Wild Wisdom. So just download the Bixi app, register, of course, so you can you will be able to access the community chat. So free lang yan, walang bayad, or nobody will ask you to pay for a subscription fee when you download the Bixi app. So that will be our game, or like quiz for tonight. It's not a difficult quiz. There's no designated or like correct one. There's no one correct answer. So anything that comes to your mind when you hear the word Web3. So yun ang ating pa-quiz for tonight. And with that said, no, yung topic natin tonight is Web3. So I've been hearing this term, I think, for the past maybe 1 year. And, it could get overwhelming sometimes. But then that's the reason why we actually invited 2 of the best people who can actually tell us what Web3 is about. So, this afternoon, this evening rather, we will be talking about the future of GameFi and women in Web3, of course, because as I have mentioned, Bixi is a financial platform, and we also have an app especially for women, so that they will have the correct knowledge, network, and tools to start investing. So I will, without further ado, no, we have here our first speaker is the COO of Gateway X. So we have Maximilian Mai, or Max. So I will be adding him into the stream right now. And last but not the least, no, the co-founder of W3GG. And we have Miss Irene Umar. So I'm gonna add them, and they will be discussing the first part of our program tonight. Hi, good evening, Irene, and good evening, Max.
Thanks for having us, or me.
Yeah.
Okay, so I will get started first.
Sorry,
again,
Irene
Max.
is on mute.
Oh,
Yeah, please unmute yourself, Irene. There, perfect.
Yeah, it's done. Thank you.
Okay, so we're good to go?
Yeah, perfect.
Thank you so much again for having me. I'm Max, I'm the COO of Gateway X. Just a bit about the platform. So we are a one-stop shop Web3 onboarding and education platform. Our special feature is actually focusing on learning by doing. So mainly teaching users the practical skills that they need to enter, explore, and thrive in Web3. Because blockchain and smart contracts are difficult to grasp on a purely technological or theoretical level, we think that users need to experience those concepts to really understand them. And the best thing about Web3 is this can be actually financially rewarding. So while users are learning to use bridges, lending protocols, NFT marketplaces, and so on, they might qualify for airdrops and other rewards, right? So we help users by directing them to the best opportunities, helping them to keep track. And we also have a scholarship program to enable users to do all this without incurring the upfront costs. So that much about our platform. A bit about myself as well. I would call myself a Web3 native. Basically, I've spent my whole, so far still brief career entirely in Web3 as an investor and an entrepreneur. And I'm also, or since at least I was when I had the time still, a passionate gamer since my early childhood. So therefore, GameFi always was a topic that really related to me, especially. And when I, thought about this concept, it immediately made sense, right? And when I was a child, and somebody told me, you can earn money by playing games. It would have been, mind blowing for me. And it just seems such a natural use case. So that's one of the many reasons why I'm so happy to have Irene here, my guest today from WeGG, which is former YGG Southeast Asia, YGG, of course, Yield Guild Games, the biggest Web3 gaming DAO and community in the world. So, Irene, thanks so much for joining us. And first of all, feel free to introduce yourself briefly and also WeGG.
Thanks a lot, Max. That's very, very kind of you to introduce me. My name is Irene. I'm the co-founder and CEO of WeGG. Previously, we were called as YGG Southeast Asia or YGGC. The rebranding actually just happened in the beginning of the month as of 1st of June. Because there's a bit of confusion between YGG and YGGC. However, with the name change, we continue to become the sub-DAO or the guild partner of YGG for Southeast Asia. So that one still remains. There should be no changes whatsoever for all our users, but we are just changing it to a different name. Now, the reason why we rebranded to We is because after a year, I think the community has grown closer together, right? It's the community that stays together during the bear and the bull market. And I think that's something that sits very well in my heart. Because if we survive the bear market together, we stick around, it means that we are a family. We are not only here for the money. And personally, I started my career as a banker. But then, I got bored with banking and I realized that I think I need to jump over just doing something more fun. Because personally, I believe that playing games is the birthright of every single human being. And so when I came back to the region, I started a venture capital that invests in game developers. It invested in esports and so on and so forth. This was before the most popular MMORPG game was launched and before esports was known in this region. So it's, I think, almost 7-8 years ago. And now that the blockchain gaming started in 2021, I think it's a natural transition for me to extend my reach to the blockchain gaming space, because I feel that this is a new breakthrough that will help me to tell everyone that, hey guys, it's okay to play games. It doesn't mean that you're a bad kid or you're a bad adult or a bad parent if you're playing games. It's simply because you just enjoy playing games. Who doesn't love playing games, right? All of us do. It's just that our social stigma has prevented us from playing because of certain labelings that's associated to it. So that has always been my personal passion and mission, and that somehow translates in every single thing that I do since I left my banking career.
Amazing. Thank you so much for this intro. I think there were so many really good points. First of all, you're so right. Crypto or Web3 is a lot, but it's never boring. So I totally, I'm on the same page with you here. Why this space is so interesting, right? Especially you come from such a traditional sector like banking. So really hat off to you for making this decision. Very, very, brave. And I think another really good point is the community, who is still here, after all that happened, especially last year, Terra, Luna, FTX, and so on. Now we are the diehard, Web3 lovers that are still here. And that's really what Web3 is about. It's about the community, right? And not only about the people who are already here, right? Also like the newly incoming community. Those are the people we really want to excite to stay in Web3 and show them the best of the space. So at Gateway X, we focus on user onboarding because we define this as a key challenge for the space to bring the traffic from Web 2 to Web 3. And I wanted to ask about your approach at YGG to user onboarding. How do you guide new users to be successful in Web 3 gaming?
I think the reason why we use games, right, is because we believe that when people play games, they forget that they are learning something, right? If you look into who is the one who has the greatest knowledge of history, it'll be those guys who play Civilizations. And who are the guys who have the greatest knowledge of guns or weapons? They don't teach you that in school. It'll be people who play that genre of games. So we use the same way and the entry point is games. And back in 2021, the entry point was Axie Infinity. But subsequently in Q1 2022, there were streams of other games that has come into the space as well. And so when people start playing the games, what we do is we break it down into 3 to 4 weeks courses. The first week is we told them, hey, there's a game, so you want to play. Generally, the answer will be yes, especially if it's the game that's earning, right? Back in during the bull market. And at that time, to enable email login, and that's it. At that time, you need to have a wallet, and nobody knows what a wallet was, right? And imagine for us, 95% of our community members are what I call as crypto virgins. And there's a reason why we target the crypto virgins is because we feel that it's such a big opportunity for us to use games to onboard new user into this amazing space. And so it's more difficult, granted, because I remember how I feel when I first created my first wallet. I know that, and I don't want anyone to feel that way. So it was challenging. It takes longer process, but it works out. Right. So the first week we teach them how to create wallets, how to start downloading the games and the basic stuff, right? We give it into a very small baby steps. Second week, as they know about this, they start to play the games and they start to have a second obstacles. What does this creature do? Especially because a lot of the games are not localized. A lot of them are in English, right? A language that we all take for granted. And so we also have to localize each cards of Axie Infinity and later on of other games as well, so that they know which button to press. And so we teach them how to start earning. On the third week or the fourth week, depending on the progress, we start to teach them to create an exchanger account, and then they can convert it. But all of this is like on-the-job training, right? But they didn't realize it. And the best part of it is everything is taught by the community, because we started with a small group of people. As time goes by, this group of people have started to become a buddy. So we have a buddy system. And what I shared with them is very simple. It's like as if you go to a new school or a new building or a library, you don't even know where the toilet is. So welcome these newbies to come in, treat them as your buddies, and guide them. So that way there's a personal interactions that's going on. And we also teach them to become trainers, and that during that 3 weeks courses, right? So that the newbies the trainer could learn public speaking. I remember some of them were like, oh, I'm so shy. What do I have to contribute? And they're one of the best players that I have. So it also helps to build the confidence, right? And lastly is we also have community leaders within our community setup, because we want to reach out to the offline presence. And one message that I always share to community members since November 2021 is that if there's anything that happens within the country, I hope that our community is the first one to know from the source on the ground, because we have a community leader there. And I hope that we know exactly that our family, our community members there are safe on the ground. And if there's anything that we could help, the community can quickly get together. So the community leaders will be someone who is not only present online, but also present offline. I don't want to just be staying in the metaverse, because it needs to be relevant. In the end of the day, we are humans. Metaverse is an extension to the internet, and yet we still need an offline presence. And so I hope to collapse these three universes into one through VGG.
Really nice. And it's funny because we have like a lot of the approaches that you're using. We also apply them, especially the offline presence, right? About the buddy, recently I watched Bankless a lot actually, and they said you need a bear market buddy, and that's so true, and sometimes just need somebody to really take care of you when times are tough. So really, really good point. And last but not least, gamification, I think, is really the most powerful tool you can use, and maybe it's one of the most underrated, because in traditional structures I don't find that a lot, but it's kind of an integral part of crypto and Web3. So I think here we are so strong, and we can build on that. So really good. And you also mentioned Axie. So YGG, right, famously, came out of the whole Axie revolution. But Axie was more like a proof of concept, right? It proved, okay, what's possible. This works, right? But it's just the beginning. So from you, I would like to hear what are some recent trends and developments in GameFi. Maybe point to some interesting products that are upcoming and so on.
There are a lot, so I'm very excited because the bear market is a time where you can really spot the real builders, right? There's not that much noises. Of course, there's noises of the FUDs because the fear factor is really high, but it's where you can form real partnership. Now, I can't disclose too much, but what I could say from the GameFi space is that previously, I think the GameFi space is dominated predominantly by the TradeFi or the DeFi people that are very good with financing. But right now we see entrance of real gamers or game developers into the space, and they are building games. And be mindful of that 2021 was the booming of the GameFi industry, right? And we are only in 2023. For a good games to be built, you need at least 1 to 2 years, at least actually 2 years for a really good games to be built. And so if a lot of people say that GameFi is dead, I would like to beg to differ, because what we see in the back end is that there are so many great games that are being developed. And there are also a lot of the traditional Web2 players within the industry have started to have a Web3 team that we could spot across this year, for example, in Games Developers Conference, UDC in San Francisco. We could spot all of them there. And half of the flow is Web3, right? And that means that the hatred, the stigma that was there in 2021 is now fading away. And now there's more and more people jumping into this space. So that's the first one. Secondly, we touch upon onboarding. 2 years ago, everyone needs to have a wallet. You don't have a wallet, that's it, right? But now there's a lot of games, a lot of protocols, a lot of projects are starting to realize that they need to make it easier for everyone to be onboarded. And then later on, they can create their own wallet that is, if you don't own the wallet, you don't hold it, that kind of thing, right? But onboard them first, right? So I'm happy to see that a lot more projects are seeing that. So onboarding process become a lot smoother. And I think that's happening right now. The third one is convergence of the industry. There are a lot of people that realize that they're developing the same thing, and the pie is not really big. So there are partnership that has been formed right now, and the formation of the partnership is non-transactional, but more visionary to see how they can join forces, join resources to see how we can move forward. Yeah.
Okay, cool. And I think I like the point you mentioned actually, because we started, from those DeFi, people more developing games, maybe led to some initial, misunderstanding. Because I think what gamers don't like is like needless financialization of games, so to say. So now it's interesting that you mentioned now the actual game developers are only just getting in, right? So what we have seen so far is not representative of the potential even that we have in future. Yeah. So
it's very excited from it.
Really excited about that. Yeah, great. Actually, I wanted to ask, because you are, focusing on the Southeast Asia region, what is why actually is Southeast Asia the first region to have a sub-DAO from YGG, right? Maybe you can tell us what's special in the region.
What's special is this. YGG's founder, Gabby Dizon, is a dear friend of mine. And the two of us, we've been very passionate about developing game industry from the get-go, from the very beginning. So we'll always meet in game conferences, escape for great foods and stuff, right? So when he first started YGG in the Philippines is very close to his heart. But the next step is expansion to Southeast Asia, because we're such good friends and we're huge advocates for, getting everyone to play. It's just convenient, I guess, that let's start this in Southeast Asia. Both of us are Southeast Asians, and it's our home turf, it's our home territory. It's the easiest for us to start. And at that time, with the bull markets and COVID, this is the region that will be very much impacted. So since November 2021, we collaborated with not only gamers, but also with the marginal communities. We distributed quite a number of meals, oxygens, and also masks that we didn't actually really disclose at that time. But I think YGG was showing the publications of it, right? And so we find that this is really important for Southeast Asia. And 2 years ago, there was also documentaries and news showing how suicidal cases actually creep up in many countries in Southeast Asia because the helpline is just not available and food masks and all are just not available. And because we have the access to those, we just quickly get together and let's just do things fast. So there was, I wish I could say diplomatically there was something strategic brewing at the back of our mind, but not really.
It just
Yeah.
happen. Yeah, sometimes things just happen. Yeah. In terms of community, like for YGG in general, I think now you have grown global already, right? Can you tell, like, where is the community? Like, how is it divided at the moment?
So we have Southeast Asia, we have Japan, we have Korea, we have India, and we have Latin America, and we are also preparing. Sorry, we have Brazil as well because Brazil is a beast on its own, as in the market is big, and I think we're gonna have US pretty soon. Yeah. The reason why we break it down is because the communities in each and every region is different. Even within Southeast Asia is very different. Like you go to Singapore and you go to Malaysia, which is just 15 minutes away, just cross the border, right? Take a taxi. It's very different. Yeah.
Definitely. Okay, I understand. Yeah. So now we're getting to the end of our brief session, and I want to, lead a bit to the next session, which would be women in Web3. So, what potential opportunities do you actually see for women in GameFi? How can we attract, potentially more women to the space? That would be my last question.
Wow. Yeah, I think women in general, this is a perfect space, right? Because first when we come in, we usually come in Discord, and a lot of us we don't actually put our faces up, right? So I encourage all women, if you're shy, just start first with a name. You don't even have to reveal your real name, and then you will feel the warmth of the community. Find your troopers, find the communities that are really positive and not there to only chase the wave or the next pot of gold, right? Be there to really learn the space, and there are opportunities out there not only for women but for every single one person out there. For me, I would really love to see more women in this space, and I think a lot more are coming up. Again, for Southeast Asia, the social structure of the region plays a huge role, right? And so we are looking towards working with the likes of Women in Blockchain, also Girls Can Code, and certain organizations that focus on female to empower them, to go to the next level. In Indonesia, we have a term called as the power of emak-emak, which basically means that the power of the housewives, right? I mean, if it relates to their family, they would kill to make sure that their family survive. And that's the spirit that we need in Web3 because it relates to community, and we need that power of emak-emak who will defend their community like a mother hen. And I'm sure that a lot more will be there. We are seeing one right there, right now, right? In Dixie.
Absolutely, yeah. So those are, the female founders, including you, right, who are really leading the way. And we talked about it before, actually, on the event that role models are so important and so crucial, right? To have somebody you identify with and somebody to follow. So somebody needs to make the first step, and it's really great to see you guys doing that. And with that, I'm happy to hand over to the founder of Bixby and the CEO Rosalia to chat a bit more with you. Thanks for having me, and really thanks for your answers. Those were really good takes.
Thank you so much, Max. Really appreciate it.
Hi, good evening. Thank you so much, Max and Irene, for that introduction on the Web3 space. And before, like Max already had put a brief view on the next topic now, which will be the opportunities of women in Web3. So before we get into that, as I mentioned earlier, I think we posted in the private in the chat room right now what the questions and the links. So again, I'm plugging it. What is the first thing that comes to your mind when you hear Web3? So just download the app through the link that you can see here on Instagram. It's a pinned link, and also here in the comment section. And just download the app, go register, go to the community, and look for live events. We actually posted the live event right now in the app. So just comment whatever is the first thing that comes to your mind when you hear Web3. I'm seeing so many comments inside the app. I mean, in the comment section right now. So this will be interesting because not only will you be able to answer the question, but you will also be one of those who will be raffled to get a free copy of Wild Wisdom by Christine Amor Levar. So just download the Bixi app. This is free. You just download it and then register, of course, so that we can see you interact in the community, answer the question, and get a free copy of Wild Wisdom by Christine Amor Levar. So I'm seeing a lot of interactions right now in the comment section. Yeah, so please do so. Download the app. The links are here in Facebook and also on IG. It's also here on the screen if you're watching via Facebook. I pinned it right now. So now we are proceeding to the next part of our topic this afternoon. So if you can see our poster there. We will be talking about the future of GameFi and of course women in Web3, because Bixi is a platform specially made for women. So I would be calling Irene is still here, and we will be calling our guest, who is not actually a guest, but she is the CEO of Bixi, Rosalia Gitao, and she will be joining Irene for the second session. So they will be talking about opportunities of women in Web3 and how Web3 can give more opportunities for women in the digital space. So I'll give the floor to Rosalia, and of course, welcome back, Irene.
Hi everyone. Irene, I'm so excited to speak with you.
Likewise. I love your energy.
It was contagious. I was just listening to your session. So,
Oh, thank you.
so yeah. Well, boy, do you want to kick us off? I mean, I'm happy to kick us off with somewhat of the first question.
Yeah.
I know that
sorry. Before that, please mute yourself on IG because we are streaming in the link. So just mute yourself, but you can put the video in. Yeah.
Okay, great.
Okay, perfect.
Is that good? If not, I can just log. You can kick me out of the IG because you're streaming on IG anyway. Is that better? No echo? IG folks, no echo? Okay,
yeah,
great.
Just mute on IG. Yeah, it's okay.
So, One Boy, do you want to open this up?
Okay.
I think she muted herself there.
I muted myself. Oh my God. I should be more, I should be hanging out more on Web3. So I was, mentioning earlier, the second part of our topic would be about, opportunities for women in the Web3 space. So as Bixi is a financial platform for women, and here we equip them with the knowledge, network, and tools, to start investing, to be financially resilient for their future. In this session, Rosalia and Irene will be discussing more opportunities for women to be more digitally empowered in the Web3 space. So Rosalia, you can proceed, and Irene, welcome back.
Yeah. So Irene, you obviously you're building a community of gamers, and hopefully a community of female gamers, which I just think is fantastic. And earlier in the prior session, you were giving a couple of tips about how to get involved. We have so many. Your average Bixi user is a professional, urban, college educated, like it's the kind of woman that we all are, right? Like our target demographic are the women that we are, living in Asia, living in Africa. And But at the same time, there's, regardless of where we're from, and you'd mentioned Southeast Asian culture, like my sister and I, we're Filipino, I get it, but regardless of where you're from, whether it's in Asia or elsewhere, there is a lot of intimidation about joining the Web3 space. Hey, and sometimes for a great reason. Like, you and I both had to join, and we probably joined at a time when there was a good reason to be intimidated.
Yeah. Personally, I am.
Yeah, well, for a lot of reasons. So I guess I'd love to know, how did you get started in blockchain, and tell us a little bit about what that journey was like, and maybe you could also say, like, how did you get over some of the intimidations? Because I know back in the day, I started not super long ago, but like 2016, and it wasn't a friendly space. I wouldn't call it a welcoming. I wouldn't call it the most welcoming space for a woman. There was a lot of like, So how did you get started?
I don't know. You want to elaborate?
No, okay. I think you do know. So I just want to know, like, how did you find your way, and not only to get comfortable in the space, and not only to raise your hand in the space, but then also to create a company in the space. How did that look?
Wow, that's a very loaded question there. I honestly feel that it's not only in Web3, but just like everything in Web3, everything is like as if it's in steroids, right? So I remember when I first came into this space, everything is in steroids, right? Like 1 year, oh crap, that's 10 years, right?
Yeah.
And so I remember first time when I came into this space, I felt like I'm like super small. Like I thought to myself, I'm not really stupid, but these guys are talking about terms that I don't freaking understand, right? And now I make that a mission to say that, just dumbify it. Doesn't mean that you're dumb, but keep it simple, right? And because a lot of terms that are created in Web3 is actually the same terms that's available in Web2 or even Web1, right? But there's a new terms that just needs to be created because it's a new industry. So first time I came in, I'm lucky that I have my group of friends that were previously gamers. I mean, they're still gamers. They started off from game industry. And so I remember they were teaching me how to create wallets. And I was telling them, my goodness, this is too much work. And they asked me, take a piece of paper and write down your seed phrase. Like, dude, you're telling me that this is the most advanced tech, and you're asking me to go back to, Flintstones age and get a paper and write down what is that called? A seed phrase? I mean, what is this? Why don't I just give you my seed phrase and you keep it for me? And they're like, no. I know you trust me. I know you love me, Irene, but that's not going to happen. You have to start keeping this. So that was, and I didn't get it, right? So for the first 1-2 months, I think and at that time, there was not much YouTube video to watch from. And there was not so much, even if there are, you don't know whether to believe in the source or not to believe in the source, right? Because there's a lot of FOMO as well. So it took me some time to learn. But I think as a woman, there are certain times where I was told, quote unquote, I'll never forget this. Oh, here's Irene. She's here because we need a diversity factor.
Yeah.
and like so that happens. I mean, coming from a banker background, right, and where I was posted in a very in countries that look up to men a lot, and women as is not very forefront or usually don't hold senior positions. I faced that before, but it's just that here it's in steroids and it's on your face, which I sometimes don't know whether I appreciate or I don't appreciate, right? But the tips is this: using all of those as an energy ball, right? It could be a negative energy, but I've learned from my dad to tai chi it and to use that as a motivation for myself to, like, I might be a diversity factor now, but perhaps in the end of the talk, I might not be. So it's just walking the talk, right? And I love it I love to be an underdog. I love to be, because I'm very shy naturally. So I love to be that because it gives me the extra energy and boost. And it also keeps me grounded because coming from that space, I tell myself not to treat anyone that way ever, regardless of their gender, because we should not be defined by our gender, our past, our skin colors, and all of those accolades, but we should just be a human first. And that is the very basics of how I live my life. And now in everything that I do, including WeGG. So in the community that we have, a lot of times I'll speak to them. In fact, yesterday I was just chatting up with a young kid from where is he from? He's from Philippines, right? And he's like, "Oh my God, I can't believe that I'm speaking to a CEO." I said, "CEO or not, I'm still a human."
Yeah. Yeah.
that comes first, and it's interesting to understand how people live their lives and what the community wants, and then we can develop the communities for them that serves them. I think that's a few factors that for me is really important, and women just need to just go out. Let's go out together, because there are two things, Rosalia. Sometimes we take the fact that we are women and take it to one extreme, right? And say that I'm women and hence, so and so and so and so. Just chill, relax. Women are not women. We just do what's right, and in the end of the day, results will show.
Yeah, and I think I love what you said about Tai Chiing it. Kind of, when people are throwing negative energy at you, they're still throwing energy. So you have to like catch it, reframe it, and push that energy out. One of the best things I ever heard from, this was a colleague back in another company I was working with, and we got trolled. Like my company got trolled. And this guy came in with the best attitude. He's like, "Oh my God, Rosalie, that's amazing. That means you're somebody worth trolling." And so that is a
exactly.
And I'm thinking, I guess he's right. It is a mark of success. Like somebody thinks you're worth being negative to. It must mean you are maybe intimidating or doing something right, because they're intimidated by you. So yeah, that I'll never forget that. I'm like, you're nobody until somebody trolls you. Like, so I think that that's kind of Tai Chiing it. And you also said a really other important thing, which is you like being an underdog. I also like it, but I phrase it somewhat differently. I like being a novice because then you have a novice's attitude and approach, meaning you're happy to learn, you're happy to fail, quote unquote, because you don't fail when you're a novice. You're just learning. The actual fear is to be the expert, to be sitting on the throne defending your kingdom. Like that's actually the worst place to be. You always kind of want to be the person climbing up rather than the person trying to like protect downwards. So I couldn't agree with you more. I also would say, like, one of the things, so you kind of answered the next question I was going to go into, which is suggestions for newcomers to learn about Web3. But as you rightly pointed out, one of the things we do at Bixi is we curate a lot of content. So we do have, in our learn and earn section, we have Web3 videos from partners that we know are like, okay, you can start here and before you go down the YouTube rabbit hole. But there's so much information out there. Are there any other good like information tools, or how would you suggest if someone is like, look, I know I need to get involved, because by the way, all the ladies listening, you need to get involved. Like, don't be the person who is like, I don't want to know about the internet. You don't have to want to know about the internet. You're going to live in the internet. So you might as well like learn it quickly so that you can, be one of the early users, because blockchain's happening. It's happened. So where would you start? Like, what would be your advice? Where do you start? Step 1, step 2, step 3?
I would join a community first, be it Bixi, be it WeGG, any communities that's near to you, right? That you can reach out to, not only and that community needs to be somewhere that's positive. And I think for me, I think you need the best of both worlds, right? So you would only appreciate the positive communities that you have if you have gone through the negative ones. So it's human nature, right? And because I feel that for me at least, I didn't appreciate how amazing my community and my circle of friends are until I see the other end. That's when I feel like, oh, these guys are diamonds, right? And it's specific to Web3. Discord could be very noisy, right? But it's also
I think it's in the
good
name.
place for But it's also a good place for us to get drowned in, because once I get drowned in Discord every now and again, and I'll be like, holy crap, it makes me feel so small, but at the same time it also motivates to push forward and to learn, right?
Yeah.
And then once I find the communities that I have, the next thing I know was I was doing a scavenger hunt with 5 strangers in Discord. Never in my life have I done it. And my boyfriend was looking at me weird, like, who are you talking to? I said, my friends. Who are they? Just met them online, and we are now on a scavenger hunt that we need to finish before this time, right? And with a lot of those experiences, that's what completes you. That's the entry point into the community side of things. Now that's community, right? On the blockchain side of things, um, you basically, YouTube is definitely one of the very big university of life that you could go to. And I always go to YouTube, I always go to Google, but of course I also go to certain apps that I feel that I trust, that I could have certain information downloads. I believe Bixi, I was looking through Bixi just now, I downloaded it already. It's also a place that, you could chat, you could have a forum, and you could get genuine feedback from certain people. In WeGG, what we are doing right now is, you'll see that in the next few months, is we are forming a couple of forums within our Discord and within our platform as well, where like-minded people get together to see how they could form a guild. Because a guild is not just games. A guild has been there since medieval age in our society. It's about a group of people getting together to see how they can perfect their craft. So I encourage you to find these guilds. I believe Bixi is also a guild or a tribe, right? And that's where you can improve, but never say no, because it's a training ground. It's a psychological, mental training ground, this Web3 space. It's really a fitness, because it's gonna hit you, beat you up, and train you to come out stronger. You just can't give up, because there's so much overloaded information.
If I could break it down into 3 steps, this is interesting. So your first one is,
please.
Go hard, but don't go home. So basically, go into the scary places. Just go there, because
drown.
only then will you realize, oh my gosh. Okay. So go to the scary places, but don't spend too long there. And then go find the safe spaces. So, you've heard Irene, you've heard me, we're safe spaces. We've cultivated and curated communities that are safe spaces. Then you go into the safe space, you're like, guys, do you know what's happening in Web3? We're like, yes, we know. And then when you're in these safe spaces, do a project, do something. Don't just be, don't just be like looking around. This isn't social media. You're not just there to like photos. Get involved with a project and link up with others. Like, hey guys, you guys want to do this together? Because then that's really the beginning of building community and building your knowledge. I often say this with Web3, and I couldn't agree with you more earlier. So much of it's just like rhetoric and words, when really it's like nothing to it but to do it. The best way to learn is actually just to go ahead and do something. The best way to learn about crypto, open a wallet, right? Like the wallet itself will be like a 20-step process through who knows what, but you will learn about it, right? Like, so this is so much of what we talk about as well. It was just like, just do something. You have to do that third thing. So yeah, go to a scary place, then come to a safe space, and then actually do something together with other people, because that's kind of the learning curve. So my last question, and this is why I think most of the, this is, as you mentioned earlier, like the community isn't just about like, oh, get rich quick schemes, of which there are many, 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 many get rich quick schemes, which is like another word for a lot of them are scams, right? This is more than that. So think about what I like to, when people ask, like, what do you mean? Think about when the internet first happened, and then think about when we had the second wave of the internet. And nothing really, all of these big companies that you see today, they didn't really start until like the third wave of the internet, right? So like there's where we are right now in the equivalent of that time period. Blockchain, we had like kind of first wave, 2010s, 2010s. The second is like 2016, and we're still very much in the second. We are by no means in the third wave. So the Facebook, the Google, the whatever of our third wave haven't even been created yet. And that's why I feel so strongly about getting women involved. Like the huge multi-member online role-play game, none of this has been invented yet for like where we are going. So there is still room to make something incredible, you know, that's going to last over the next 5 to 10 years, because we haven't even hit the mainstream third wave yet. So I would love to know from you, where do you think the opportunities are for women in Web3?
So for me, the way I see it is women has, in general, again, I'm generalizing, right? We are creatures that have higher integrity. Sorry, guys. But, you know, we
By the
stick
way,
to
that
it.
is evidence-based. There is, particularly in the finance space, we tend not only to have higher returns on our investments, they tend to be like better value and better for like society. So integrity is a gendered trait.
True. In some extent, I mean, no, we could be biased, right? I'm very careful with this. But the thing is, bring that integrity heart in. Bring the heart of defending your tribe, defending your family in, and watch the space and learn, because this is the space that's super open. When we talk about blockchain, right? Every single transaction is open. I'm sure that there's a lot of women here listening, and if you are a parent and you have kids that are living overseas, or if you're working overseas, you have parents living back at home, you'll be transferring money every month, right? So when you transfer the money, the moment you click send through a bank, you have no clue when the money will hit the other side. You can only pray and pray that it will hit. The only consolation is there's someone you can call and scold and complain, and that someone is going to go and track it for you. But in this space, everything is super open. So if you like attention to details, if you like to find out the truth, like, you know, the auditor kind, the detective Conan kind of person, the blockchain is your paradise, because you would be able to find and discover any potential scams, anything that is off in the space. By starting that, the next thing is you have Twitter, right? That is pretty much an announcement, like the newscast for the entire Web3 space. And whatever you post over there, you might get pushed back, which is fine. But that is your voice of truth. For the first time, you'll be able to express your truth openly. If you're scared, anonymously. As you get braver, you know, show up, right? Because in the end of the day, we have to show up, right? There's no point of hiding behind the screen all the time. So grab on the opportunity. It's out there. It's open. You don't need anything to start. All you need is internet and phone, which I'm sure a lot of people have. If you don't have it, borrow it from your friend, and just start diving. Because previously, I think in Web2, it's all about going to YouTube. We talk about the resources where we learn, right? This is a Web3 layer where we can get our hands dirty and really start digging and start really doing something before we find a problem statement and really solve it for the entire community. And things change so fast, which means that opportunities happen so fast that you really don't have time to think, girl. You just have to jump and learn to swim. A lot of projects out there are building a plane as they fly the plane, and it's exciting because everything is open. Why do you think there's so many collapse in the past few years, in the past 1 year, right? It's because information is open. You can't fool the community. You can't fool the markets. You can't fool the people anymore.
Yeah. And
that's the beauty of blockchain. And women, my goodness, if you carry that heart of yours with the integrity is, nobody talk about corporate governance or integrity, right? Not many people. With the rebranding, we made a pledge that we will advocate for corporate governance within our company, and integrity is our number one value, and we'll hold that up very closely to our heart. So,
and I think that in and of itself, has a lot more value now after we've seen all of these ridiculous collapses where there was basically no integrity and no accountability, and I think that comes now at a value. So, you know, that is a call to action. You know, women with higher integrity thresholds, your integrity will actually be valued in this new space, as opposed to the wild, wild west that was the last handful of years. Like, that's not going to necessarily be what is going to take us to the mainstream third wave of blockchain. Like, it's not, and it can't be, because it was too deleterious and detrimental to the entire undertaking. So I'm going to end there. Thank you so much, Irene, for
Thank
your
you.
candor, for sharing. I'm, you know, I'm going to join YGG, obviously. So we're gonna, we would love to see more of YGG. We obviously we do gamification, but clearly you guys are at a much higher level of gamification. So we hope to work to collaborate further on future games. And thank you so much for leading the charge for women in Web3 gamification, guys. Like that is not talk about not an easy task. It's
Thank
not an
you.
easy
Thank you
task.
so much for having Thank you so
Thank you
much.
so much.
And definitely it's a deal. Let's work together.
Done.
Thank you, ladies. Now I feel when you were discussing on the don't leave yet, don't leave me yet. So when you were discussing the first part and you mentioned about like being intimidated in the Web3 space, I also felt that the same way when especially when I started like like working with Bixie and I first heard that I was like, oh my god, what is this thing? How do I even like begin? I've spent so much time on the internet, but still I don't know these things. So it's kind of intimidating. But you were right that we're not yet there. We're if it were like a building, we're still I think on the second floor or something. So there's definitely a lot of opportunities for women to know more about Web3, to see opportunities for women to thrive in Web3. And maybe as Irene just mentioned, this is a deal. We're working together. Maybe in the next part, we can do another live event on maybe like how can I onboard myself into Web3,
The
like
starter
where,
kit.
right, like right. I need a starter kit for this. Like, where do I even begin? Like, do I post an Instagram story? Do I post those things? And because when something seems intimidating, and we just have to see someone we know who's doing it, right?
Yeah.
Like, we just have to see somebody who's like, okay, I have step one, I have step two, I have step three, and I've done it. I wasn't scammed. So this is this is legit. So those things, I think we can discuss them next time in a different topic, like Rosalia mentioned, like a starter kit, like where do I even begin with Web3. And this is a very interesting tonight has been a very interesting like a jump start on like everyone's Web3 journey. And the comments were like I couldn't like answer everyone. I tried to like say hi and even ask them to ask questions. No, but like I mentioned here, just download the app, join the community. Irene was perfectly mentioning about like joining a solid community for all like questions, concerns, or even like insights on Web3. So inside the app, I posted here earlier. Here I can pin it again. Join the community inside the Bixi app. If you download the app uh, via this link, it's for free. Just register and you can see community, and there's a lot of channels there where you could post about your insights about Web3, or if you ladies have already those starter kits, maybe you could share it to us, share it to the women in the community. So to close, again, so much sorry before I close, thank you so much, Rosalia, thank you so much, Irene, and thank you so much, Max, for jump starting everyone's big Web3 journey this evening. And to close, we would like to give the ladies and of course the gentlemen here a little giveaway, no? So all they have to do is just to download the app, and then tonight our Bixi team would be raffling. I think we can give three, if I'm not mistaken, tonight. No, copies of Wild Wisdom by this is actually a great book. It's one. It was written by one of Bix's advisors. The fabulous Christine Amor Levar. So, if you want to know more about her Wild Wisdom, just download the app, register, and of course, join the community, and just tell your thoughts about Web3. And last but not the least, I understand that Web3 ladies and even gentlemen are more on Twitter. So if you could follow us on Twitter, we are very active thanks to our team. Max here leads the Twitter. So we are on Twitter. It's at my Bixi. It's also in the comment section at MYBIXIE. So follow us there. And we also have random giveaways in Twitter. So find us there, just retweet and follow Big C for updates, for downloads, and for future live events like this. So it's already 7:31 on my end. Um, I wouldn't hold anyone longer, no, because it's time for dinner, and I think some of you will be preparing dinner or having dinner with their families or friends. So again, thank you so much, Max, Rosalia, and Irene, for an enlightening, like a jump start to the future of GameFi and women in Web3. We have so much, so much more opportunities. We're actually just right on time. We're not like like the super pioneers where we just don't know what we're doing, and definitely we're not there yet. That we're not in the peak yet, so we're just right on time. And I can see a lot of opportunities and a lot of spaces for women in Web3. So again, this is just the beginning of Web3 for women, for Bixi women specifically. So again, we are Bixi, the financial platform for women, where we teach you every Thursday knowledge, network, and tools to start investing, and of course, in creating a financially resilient future. So, my name is Vil. Let's meet again next week, same time, 6:30 p.m. Manila time. If you're in other parts of the globe, you are very much welcome. But we go live here at 6:30 p.m. Manila time. So again, thank you so much. Maraming salamat. And good evening, everyone. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Okay. We're in. Sorry.